You guys can hear me okay back there, right? Yeah, cool. Thank you. Yeah, I'm here to present the release of Open Deep Search by Sentient. And this is work by our amazing team, research team at Sentient. And our goal is to combine the latest and the greatest reasoning. Thank you. Reasoning models that have been advances happening recently that includes like starting from Llama in the open source world, QN and DeepSeek models, and combine them with the reasoning agentic framework that we, Sentient, provide to provide you the best performing open source search AI that matches the performance of all the closed source models. So let's get started. So as anything in AI, there is two schools of thoughts in AI search engines or search AI. One is closed world and the other is open world. So in the closed world, the advances have been happening very recently so that we bring the best reasoning models, reasoning solutions. Those include like test time or inference time compute, the best out there to provide you the state-of-the-art performance in search AI. This includes Perplexity, ChatGPT, Grok models, Google, and Bing, Microsoft, and other things. And one of the popular and most, high-performing one is by Perplexity AI. So that's the one I'm gonna mostly be comparing against throughout this presentation. On the other hand, on the open world, there are solutions, but they've been lagging behind. They've been mostly focusing on retrieval and prompt augmentation, RAG type of solutions, having little to no reasoning capabilities. So we want to change that because there's so much to benefit from open source, open world. Starting from lowering the barrier, fostering innovation. You can innovate on each other's techniques and building community. So to do that, what we're gonna plan to do is provide an open source solution for search AI that can match or even beat the best closed world solutions out there. So that's Open Deep Search by Sentient. And what we want to do is we build upon the best open source reasoning models that are out there and that will continue to improve. And you can plug in those models into our end-to-end solution, which has two components. One is search by Sentient, and the other is reasoning agent by Sentient. So search by Sentient has multiple components, including paraphrasing or rephrasing the queries that came from the user so that it's tailored for the search engine. And we get the URLs and documents. We need to summarize it, retrieve it, scrape it, and re-rank it. We make innovations, all these components. Shout out to Sala, who made a lot of this work for open source completely. But today I won't have time to go over the details of the search part. I'm focusing more on the reasoning agent part where the search output is fed in as a context to the reasoning agent by Sentient, which accesses or wraps around the open source LLMs that we're gonna use. This includes in our experiments Llama 3.1 with 70 billion and DeepSeek R1 models. And what we do is we allow this high-performing language models to use three tools. One is search. So it's allowed when the initial search didn't retrieve the information that you need, it's allowed to search again for the information you need. Another thing is calculator. We're not going to do complex mathematical things in our search, but just having the separation between LLM taking care of the reasoning and the linguistic parts and logical parts, and having everything related to arithmetic kind of set aside for the calculator makes it much easier and coherent and precise for whole reasoning system, as like a human would do if you had an extra hand. Another thing is to think and reflect upon its own outputs, and if anything's ambiguous, you can go back and think again until it is clear what the answer is. And given these three tools, And bringing techniques like self-consistency, chain of thought, fuchsia prompting, and others, we provide these two techniques as open source, and let's see what we can do with it. Okay, I'm not keeping track of time, so anyone, Anton, if you're someone should tell me if I'm 3 minutes left, okay? If I have 3 minutes left, please let me know. Okay, so Frames benchmark is released by DeepMind, Google DeepMind last year in September, and it's one of the kind of complicated benchmark when it comes to retrieval, search, and factuality. They designed this so that you need to get multiple sources of facts and information, combine them in a coherent way, in a logical way, to get the final solution. And I'll show you examples in a bit. On this benchmark in the closed source world, GPT-4 achieves an impressive performance of 50%. Perplexity have two modes that we can access. One is the default Perplexity, which gets about 42%, and Perplexity Pro, which has reasoning capability and probably multiple searches on top of Perplexity default that gets about 44%. And it's much slower than the default mode, but much more high quality. In the open source world, DeepSeek R1 surprisingly gets less than Llama for these tasks, about 30%. Llama gets about 34%. And our goal is to build upon these language models that are amazing, but wrap it around our reasoning agentic framework so that we match or improve upon this closed world, and we get about 56 or 57%. And this is a fair comparison. I'll explain what I mean by fair later, about 5 slides later, but let's look at how we achieve this improvement in comparison to Perplexity. So an example question from Frames benchmark looked like this, and you can notice it requires multiple factuality information to be gathered correctly and combined correctly. So maybe it's what year was the band leader of the group who originally performed the song sampled in Kanye West's song Power Born. So you need to multiple things. You need to know which song was sampled. You need to know which band played that song. You need to know who the leader is, and you need to know the birth year of that leader, and then you'll get the right answer. And the true answer is 1946. If you plug it into Perplexity, you can try it. We just plugged it in and got this answer. And I might have cut off some parts of it just for the presentation. But what it does is that it gets the song that's sampled correctly, 21st Century's Schizoid Man, the band correctly, which is King Crimson, but then whatever the results from Perplexity search didn't have the information about who the leader is, just guessing that it's someone else. And of course, it gets the birth year wrong because it's someone else's birth year. And what we do is we bring reasoning around Llama, which is not particularly tailored for reasoning. Llama is more generic model as opposed to more reasoning models like DeepSeek. But if you wrap it around with our reasoning agent by Sentient and feed in the high quality retrieved documents from search by Sentient, then this happens. We always start with thinking about the context or the documents that you retrieved from Sentient search. And it first identifies what it needs to do. 4 things that you need to do that I just said last slide, so I'm not going to repeat it again. And then it goes on to understanding the context and see what it has. It's got the music sampled correctly, the band correctly, just like Perplexity. But because our search, I think in this example, is better than what Perplexity search does, we also get the leader of the band correct, which is Robert Fripp. And then it realizes that it didn't have any 3 minutes left. Okay, it's much shorter than I would have possibly imagined. Okay, I'm about 20% into my slides, but I'll give you the gist of it. So, okay, so then it realized that the search didn't give back the birth year of Robert Fripp, so it calls an action, which is one of the 3 tools that we provide, and calls the search internet action with Robert Fripp birth year as a query, gets the right year and gets the right answer. Maybe I have time for one more example. I have to run to the conclusion. Why not? So this is another example where you have to get the, how old a person would have been, who's the winner of this poetry award, on the year that, the book Milk and Honey was released, and then it'll be 90 years. Perplexity doesn't realize that it needs the winner of the prize, not the year of the prize. And because it doesn't know who the winner is, of course it doesn't get it right. Our search engine will give you the right information, who the winner is and who the birth year is. And as I said, it calls a calculator to calculate the difference to get the year, how old that person would be, which is 90 years. Because the separating out these two tasks makes it much more coherent for these reasoning models to get the right answer. And one last thing is that it's possible to do even better than what we provide by allowing more searches. Because we judiciously choose to search only when we need to, we're only using extra search about 5% of the time. But if you allow, let's say, 10 searches for every query, then you can do even better. And this is experimental. We just tried the first thing that comes up to mind, which is just use 10 different searches with slightly different prompts. So there's big room of improvement. The reason we're going open source with all this is that all of you can improve upon what we provide and make the search even better and better. And with that, I believe I'm about out of time. I got tons of examples, which I'll defer to Twitter to show you. And with that, we're bringing everything open source in a couple of weeks. We're just cleaning this up. And you can start with the state-of-the-art performing, search AI model with our open source model and make it even better. So thank you, and that's all the time I got, I think.